take a victory, finally. We have an air display overhead. There's plenty of power going on that as well. As you join us live here for the second race of 27 laps with a mandatory pit stop. And I'll tell you what, this pilot has been practicing his aerobatic display for the last couple of days, and he is one of the most daring pilots I've ever seen above the famous Le Mans Bugatti circuit. A beautiful afternoon here, a massive crowd of over 80,000 for the second race. 4.1 kilometers, not the big Mulsanne Straight and the famous 24-hour circuit, Bugatti circuit, which opened in 1966. Has also seen some of the world's most famous names in motorsport. And one was added to it this afternoon. Jochen Winkelhock, uncle of Marcus Winkelhock, won here, of course, the Le Mans 24 Hours back in 1999 for BMW. But here for Renault today, his nephew, young Marcus Winkelhock, 24 years of age, and an absolute product of what the Renault series is all about, coming through the ranks from Formula Renault into Formula 3, now here in the World Series by Renault, and now a winner for the first time, and looking to try and take a second victory. He's moved from 13th in the championship to 6th in just one race. Now, will the others be able to respond? Robert Kubica lines up as the championship leader and pole position man. He has 54 points, 14 ahead of Adrian Valles. Was complaining that he had a little bit of understeer while following La Rosa in race 1, but that was only when he was close. So his plan this time is to stay away from him and stay out front, because if he does that, then he won't get the understeer problems that he had. And he hopes to lead from the front. It's so hard to overtake here at Le Mans. So Will Power has the same plan. He wants to get ahead from the start. And the story of his season has been quite simple. The Australian trying to follow in the footsteps of Mark Webber, who in fact sponsors him and is racing, of course, at Silverstone as we speak. But Will Power's season has all been about qualifying without getting the results. He's a long way down in the championship at the moment. And he's actually 9th with 19 points, but he's only 1 point now behind Cristian Montanari of San Marino. Felix Portiero of Spain for the Epsilon Euskadi team lines up behind his teammate Robert Kubica and is looking to score points big time. He's dropped down the championship and in fact is now 2 points behind Winkelhock. So Portiero desperately wants to make amends from the first race. He was the fastest man out there, but he was so far qualified back in race 1 that he was on the 10th, 11th row for race 1, but he's right up there on the second row for this one. But he was the fastest lap in race 1 at 124.173. So watch out for Felix Portiero. Also watch out for Eric Salignon. He's probably been the most consistent man in each of the sectors here throughout the weekend, and hasn't, again, like Will Power, had the results. He lines up alongside Portiero. Then comes race 1 winner Marcus Winkelhock. The big news I've got for you is that Tristan Gomonde, I believe, is starting at the moment from the pit lane. I expect him to join his position on the 4th row. The man who had a jump start at the beginning of race 1, as we take a look at Marcus Winkelhock, 24-year-old, currently living near the Draco team in Italy, but of course from Germany, and has a pedigree and a name to live up to. If you think Schumacher is famous in Germany now, well, the Winkelhock name, the family name of Winkelhock, is synonymous with motor racing. And as I said, his uncle, Smokin' Joe Winkelhock, Jochen Winkelhock, won the Le Mans 24 Hours race just in 1999, so still fresh in the memory. Colin Fleming, the Red Bull sponsored man, one of the Red Bull rookies when they search for an F1 driver. Fleming was one of them, like Scott Speed. And Fleming's had a rotten weekend so far, but as you can see, he's on the 3rd row for this one, hoping to try and get a result, because it's that time of the year. We're sort of almost getting to the point now where if you don't start getting results, you're just not in contention. And I've never seen a championship more open than we have here in the World Series by Renault. Any one of the top 13, 15, if you count all the way down to Jaap van Lagen, who we'll talk about in a moment as we look at Patrick Pilet. But any one of the top 15 could win this championship. It's totally up for grabs. And in a week's time, we head to Bilbao for the street race, which has caused a huge amount of excitement both in Spain and amongst all the drivers. Really looking forward to racing around the streets of that famous city, and that in just 1 week's time. We've got 27 laps before that. There's your championship, 54 to Kubica, 40 to Valles. He's got to hold off Gomendi. Zuba is still in 4th place, Tocacello, then Winkelhock. Look at that, 2 points now ahead of Felix Portiero. Montanari slipping down, just 1 point ahead of Will Power. That's why Power wants points, for sure. We head off on the warm-up lap. And as you can see, any one of the top 15 could possibly win this championship, because there are so many points up for grabs still. And the spread is huge, because we've had 6 different winners from 6 different races. Pretty amazing stuff. Tocacello has won a race. Montanari has won a race. Winkelhock has won a race. And of course, in the last race here at Le Mans. So we head off now on the Bugatti circuit, up the famous hill towards the Dunlop Bridge. Warming the tyres. Temperatures have soared in the last hour or so. And that's meant that setup has changed somewhat for a lot of the drivers. Soften the suspension, some of them on the rear there, maybe taking a few pounds out of the tyres, just to give themselves a little bit more grip, because as the heat goes up here, they haven't been finding a lot of grip here at the circuit. There was torrential rain here a couple of days ago for the first qualifying session, and it wiped away quite a lot of grip that the rubber had been put down by, and so a little bit concerned that they're not going to have the grip they want out there. Talking to Will Power, he's made a few adjustments. He felt his car was a little bit pointy, as he described it, and made a few adjustments to make that right. There's quite a few young men out there right now desperate to take victory, and realising that also the championship is totally winnable, as Marcus Winkelhock has just proved, because he's gone from 13 and put himself right in contention. He's now just 1 point ahead, 1 point behind Enrico Tocacello. There is the grid: Kubica, Power, Portiero, Salignon. Eric Salignon, the local man for Cram Racing. Winkelhock lines up in 5th, then Fleming, who desperately needs a result. Gomendi, 7th, still probably licking his wounds. Then Patrick Pilet in 8th position. Montanari in 9th. Tocacello, 10th. Jaap van Lagen, I'll tell you his story in a minute. He lines up 11th, didn't qualify well. Adrian Valles just desperate to try and get in the top 10 and get some points. Pagano is 13th, Zuba 14th. Again, he didn't qualify well, had the brake balance wrong for the second qualifying, and his team not happy with that, nor was he. Kuda 17th, Pavlovic 18th. La Rosa, Daniel La Rosa, would you believe it, who was second place last time out, all the way down to the back of the grid. So you can expect La Rosa's pace to be much better than his qualifying. He's just got better and better as the weekend's gone on. Mehdi Banani of Morocco brings up the rear. Frederic Vavish Tedeschi, who got involved in an incident with Bondini, had nowhere to go really. So then, we're about to get underway for racing here. And of course, a mandatory pit stop. And they've got a window between lap 5 and lap 18 to take that pit stop. But it's critical, because if you get it wrong, as is the case of Andreas Zuba, teammate to Will Power at Valencia, it can all go to nothing. Andreas Zuba had a huge lead at Valencia, and the safety car came out and ruined that lead for him. And of course, you couldn't take the pit stop during the safety car. So we're about to get underway for the start of the race. Tense moments for all these young men. Kubica, though, knows that all he has to do is get a decent start. Green flag is waved. And out go the lights, and away we go. And a bit of a skid there from Kubica. He drums across the line to try and hold off Will Power, but he's not going to do it. Will Power's going to try and take the lead as they go up the hill. A bad start from Kubica, a brilliant start from Will Power, just what he wanted. Eric Salignon got away well as well. Up the hill they go towards the Dunlop Bridge for the first time. Brilliant start from the young Australian, just what he wanted. Fantastic start. Oh no, massive shunt.
Patignou.
And alongside me, Wesley Barber, watching very interested, and Pagano, the Frenchman, who had such high hopes, and several cars involved by the looks of things. Looks as though there's only a bit of debris, but away they go. What a start from Will Power, and Kubica could do nothing. He tried to come across the line to defend his position and hopefully hold off Will Power, but it wasn't to be. Eric Salignon got away well, and Simon Pagenaud, the Frenchman from Solitaire Racing, was the first casualty.
Yeah, just an innocent
big
bystander, really.
It is the worst corner perhaps on the track, certainly in that first lap, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. It's just so chaotic there, the safety cars out again first lap. And yeah, it's just everybody, you're trying to get all those cars into it, and you're in top gear going into it, so it's a full racing speed corner up until you know, the first one everybody's so close, so there's always asking for a bit of trouble.
Well, all sorts going on at the start, and it is safety car, so we can calm it down a little bit, and maybe Kubica will have another chance, but he definitely duffed that start up for sure. Tristan Gomini jump start the first race, and now we have another Frenchman. Several cars. Is that Tocacello involved in that, or is that Thomas Koska, the Czech? Mondini again. Poor old Giorgio Mondini. Well, after such a brilliant season last year, he's got the #1 car. Suddenly, he's having the worst annus horribilis, as they say. And I don't know what you'd say in Italian, but it's been a rotten year for him, and it's got to be hard to keep your confidence together, because he knows he's a good driver. He's won championships at this level, and this year's just gone all horribly wrong. So, on the safety car, we can take our breath. I can introduce Wesley properly. Wesley Barber of Great Britain, taking part in the 2-litre Renault Championship, doing very well. Already had a podium here at the Bugatti circuit this weekend, and enjoying the racing. His racing is, well, it's not quite over yet, but anyway, he's been in the thick of it, and joins us to describe this very tight circuit where, well, we said to all the drivers, because there is nowhere to overtake, the start is so important. That's why we've had crashes, and that's why we've had such a close start between Kubica and Power.
Yeah, no question. You know, because you get it's such a long straight, and you start pretty much at the bottom of it, you just keep going and going, and ultimately you can overtake, but ultimately there are people that overcook it in there, and you get accidents even up at the front normally, which you don't get at most circuits. So you're just not safe really until you get around that first corner.
Great start from Will Power though. It's just what he wanted, and I asked him what his plan was, and that was part A of his plan, which was to get the best start possible. Part B was to make sure that he pits as soon as the window opens, or fairly soon after, because he doesn't want to do what his teammate did, Zuba, at Valencia.
Yeah. I can imagine they'll be fairly hot on their pit stops, Carlin, this time.
There's the incident again involving Simon Pagenaud, and there's nothing really he could do.
No, he was
So only a couple of cars involved, but 3 cars going off. Going back to race 1, Passini, Fleming, Ravish, Tedeschi, Mondini involved last time out as well, and Danielson all out of race 1. It was actually car number 14. Down my list. Marcus Winkelhock though, trying to get another good result. He is currently in 4th position, just ahead of Portiero. Now, surely the safety car will come off after this lap, which means we'll be racing again. This is lap 2 though, and it's Power, Salignon, Kubica, Winkelhock, Portiero, Fleming, Montanari, Pile, Tocacello and Zuba. So it was Thomas Koska that was out. Valles up to 11th place, looking for a top 10 finish. The young Spaniard, just 18 years of age, an absolute sensation in this championship. Amazing that he's actually holding 2nd position, and you know what, he's younger than the man leading your championship, Amar Muller.
Yeah, I know. It's, mind you, age doesn't mean if you can drive and you can get the budget, then you can drive. And ultimately, yeah, it's great that he's young and it's showing he's got lots of talent.
Great race from Winkelhock last time out, and he really did put on the class, didn't he? I mean, he didn't look as though he was going to be bothered, never made a mistake, and had a huge lead of over 8 seconds at the end of the race.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's looking in good stead for this one, really. You know, they get those pit stops at the right time, and you know, I think if you look in the session before, you know, you've got to look at Fleming. I know he's 6th at the moment, so I think that top 6 could change quite dramatically with their pit stops. You know. And it's a long race, so there's always a problem. Might be a problem with something going wrong or something like that, which we saw in Valencia.
Sadly, Simon Pagenaud of Solitaire Racing out of this one, and as I mentioned earlier, Frenchman, over 300 guests here this afternoon, and never easy. But that's motor racing. 1 minute you're up, next minute you're down. And in a moment, hopefully, the lights will go off on the safety car. There they go. And that means we will be racing after this. Now, the key to this is what Salignon is going to do. Will Power is in control of the race as we speak. He decides the pace of the men behind him. And when he goes, the rest can go after him. But until that point, they cannot. So there's a couple more corners. Will slow the whole field down. He's doing exactly that. Bunches of experience, of course. Carlin Motorsport and Formula 3. He knows exactly what he's doing. Solignon's got to go with him. He's got to stay right behind him. This is not smart from the Frenchman at the moment. He starts to accelerate. And as they come out of the last corner, away we go. We are racing again, and Salignon has not got the drive out of the start. Kubica in third. Winkelhock's got a good start, and so too Portiero. Colin Fleming is pushing hard.
Yeah. Well, Fleming's... he's caught, I think he's caught Matey asleep, I think.
Totally, yeah.
Or the other one's caught him asleep.
One of the two. Montanari still 7th, Pile in 8th, Toccacello 9th. But away goes Will Power, and it really made it look easy. And as I said, the key is to stay with the leader at the restart, and Salignon did not do that. So Power has got an easy start, but the pair of them have got away from Kubica, Winkelhock behind him, and Portiero, then Fleming. Lock up there for a moment there from Pile. Down to the back of the circuit. And Wesley, where, if anyway, would you make an attempt in the early laps to try and overtake?
Really, pretty much in the middle section. You've got from corner 2 to corner 4 is where you can overtake. And then you've got after you get down to where they are now, you know, you're just going to follow really. You've got to be really, really brave and a lot quicker. And when you're sort of in the top 5 or 6, you're not going to do that. You know, it's possibly after the chicane for the next couple of corners because they're slow second gear, third gear ones.
In 2 laps' time, Will Power will have the opportunity to come in and change his tyres or make that mandatory pit stop. He doesn't have to change anything, of course, but he can change 2 tyres. But it's a question of when, because it's all about traffic here, as it is at any circuit. But now he's got clean air, he might decide to stay out for a while and try and build a lead. Yeah,
I think ultimately he's in clean air. He's by far the quickest out there at the moment, so you know he's got to keep it there. But you know, maybe not go quite to the extent that Zuber went in Valencia to almost the end of the window. But yeah, he's obviously got his tyres, looked after his tyres, and he's pushing at the moment.
No, we'll talk about pushing. He just went over the white lines there. Now you can explain the rules. The race directors has been very hot this weekend. He just does a 125.5, but look how close he is to going over the lines.
Yeah, no, he's fine. You see where those curbs are, you can put your wheels over the white line there because they class that as an extension of the track. But obviously, just down that straight, you can put your wheels on there. So they're
sort of pushed out.
Well, exactly, yeah. To be honest, the officials have been fairly lenient in the sense of what they allow you to do and not being sort of stupid. But,
as long as you're not abusing it.
Yeah, exactly. But as soon as you do it, then you're in trouble. There's somebody going off every lap down the back there. There's a puff of
dust in the air. Yeah. It's a very dusty offline. Comes up on you. Will Power has been desperate to win a race. He was pole position in Zolder, and his car fell apart literally on the grid on the warm-up lap and ended that day, and that was massive disappointment at the start of the season because there were such high hopes. The Carlin team, of course, part of the Jordan team in Formula 1, currently racing in England, but they've got such a great history of racing in all formulae, and they expect the best as into the pit.
I think it's Toccacello and one
Montanari,
of the yeah.
So that is not the regular pit stop. In comes Tedeschi as well. Still well, it is.
Yeah,
they're going with Tristan Gomondy.
Yeah, he's right below us. We can't see him.
So Gomondy is out very quickly indeed, right at the window. Somebody having a spin.
Yeah, he's having a couple, I think.
It's Bellarosa, Italian for Avalon Formula.
No, he's been tapped.
Oh yeah, he got hit from behind by Fukuda by the looks of things. So it's all going on in this 2-part race. Fukuda pushing hard and almost collecting
his teammate.
Bellarosa in front of him, yeah. So then back with Will Power, no such drama for him. The Australian desperate to get a victory. And Aussie Motorsport very much on the rise with what Mark Webber is doing at the moment. And there's a host, Ryan Briscoe, you name them, of Aussies coming up now through the ranks. And Will Power is one of them. He comes across the line and does a 1:25.2. That's almost half a second quicker than the man behind him, Salignon. And he's built already a 2-second lead. Question is, when does he pit? Every one of the drivers out there have to make one mandatory pit stop. The question is, when do you make it? A couple of drivers coming back in.
Danielson's in, Valet's in.
Koska. Out goes Celso Miguez, who had gearbox problems at the beginning of the weekend, which meant he didn't qualify as well as he'd liked. His first outing here at the Bugatti circuit. De La Rosa comes in as well. And so the pit stops are happening fast and furious. None of the top 10 have yet to pit. The top man to pit so far is Passini. He is in 10th position. Celso Miguez, you saw there, the Spaniard who's in 12th. He's been in now, and Danielson's also been in. Likewise, Montanari, Toccacello, De La Rosa, and Gomendi. Those are the men to pit. Gomendi was the first to pit, in fact.
Zuber's going to be coming in a minute. I've just seen the pit board with in on it, so I think he'll be our next driver to pit.
Well, that makes sense, because what you do in this situation is you get rid, effectively, of the man not in the lead. And obviously, teammate 2 Will Power, who powers through for another lap. So they'll get Zuber in and get him out. Then it's a case of they can concentrate on when they want to bring Will Power in.
Oh, he's in. He's coming almost. Winkelhock's in.
So Zuber's in, Winkelhock's in, Pilet's in. So it's now real frantic stuff going on in the pits. And Power's still out on track. Out goes Winkelhock, winner of the last race, and 6th in the championship with 20 points to go. The German, with 20 laps to go. The German out on track now, having done a brilliant pit stop. That was so quick. Meanwhile, Power's on. Got Indonesian oil companies behind him. Got a lot of good sponsorship. He's also helped by Mark Webber. Not a bad man to help you out.
No, definitely not. Gives him a bit of a bonus, I'd have thought.
Un rasoir jetable révolutionnaire, Sensor 3 de Gillette. C'est notre meilleur rasoir jetable. 3 lames sur ressort qui s'adaptent parfaitement au contour de votre visage. Et découvrez le nouveau Sensor 3 muni d'une plaquette lubrifiante enrichie à la vitamine E.
Sport Bikes, le magazine moto 100% compétition.
Prenez de meilleures photos avec votre mobile. Nouveau K750i avec autofocus de Sony Ericsson.
For all the best rally action in Ireland, there is only one channel that can fit the bill. Join Motors TV as we explore all the goings-on both in the special stages and in the service areas as the best rally men from Ireland go at it hammer and tong for national honours. RPM Rally, Saturday, July the 16th from 12:30 p.m. on Motors TV. The Power Bike Tour is an integral part of the Motors TV lineup. All throughout the 2005 motorcycle road racing season, Motors TV will bring you the very best from the fearsome two-wheel action on some of the UK's best circuits. Join us for round 4 from the venerable Silverstone circuit, Saturday, July the 16th from 2 p.m. on Motors TV.
Eric Salignon still in 2nd place. Kubica still 3rd, and Portiero. There's another man down.
Rees.
Yeah.
He's
Fernando Rees, the Brazilian who came into the championship this weekend into Wetton. Not been the easiest of baptism of fire, I'd call it. Wasn't very easy. Never is coming into a championship in the halfway point almost.
Salion's just taken a huge chunk out of Will. He's half a second, back down to 1.5 seconds now.
So Salignon's got the bit between his teeth. The question is, when are the top three going to pit? Not this time. None of them. The top three stay out. And I think they're just going to watch each other now, aren't they?
Yeah. Oh, well, Will's responded and now gone quicker again.
Yeah, he's responded with a 25.3. Car number 30 in the gravel at turn 6, having just pitted. So, Fernando Reis back in the gravel again. Power, Salignon, Kubica, Portiero, Fleming. That's the top 5. Then comes Valles. So Adrian Valles already up the order, but yet to pit. So you can start watching for Winkelhock, Montanelli, Toccacello, and even Tristan Gomendy to start coming through.
17. And Fukuda's under investigation for
that incident. Yeah. Well, you'd have to say that was probably his fault.
I think he'll have a drive-through pedal soon.
So the Japanese driver not having the easiest of times out there this weekend. Didn't qualify well and is now making mistakes out on track that are unusual for him. They have a window between lap 5 and lap 18 of the 27 to make that pit stop. You can do it any time, but as we saw with Zuber at Valencia, if you leave it too long, you can risk the possibility of an incident which will bring out the safety car, and they cannot pit while the safety car is out there. So
Salignon's in.
Salignon comes in. Wise move. Power stays out, and now Kubica moves up to 2nd place. So the Frenchman, Eric Salignon from Avignon. Way south of here, cramped competition car. Salignon, like so many Frenchmen, and like the 80,000 watching him, desperate to get into Formula One. There is no Frenchman in Formula One at the moment, and the best possibility of finding one is probably from this championship. We have Patrick Pilet, we have Eric Salignon, we have Tristan Gomendy, all accomplished drivers and all been through the classic French Renault upbringing. Who will be the next Renault F1 driver from France? That's the question. Well, at the moment, there's a couple of good Spaniards out there, and an Italian not so bad either. So, they're going to have their work cut out. I was asking actually each of the French drivers why there was no French driver in Formula One. Why wasn't there sort of an initiative, if you like? And they said basically it's a very hard call. It depends on managers, it depends on money, and it depends on performance. And they all feel that if they can perform well in this championship and get noticed, then there's a possibility.
Oh, definitely. I mean, there's nothing better than Renault would like to see a French guy in one of their cars. There's no denying that. But Renault's a company that wants to win as well. So until somebody comes out and shouts, "Look at me," I think they'll be quite happy with their Spaniard at the moment.
Yeah. Well, Frank Montagnier, of course, knocking on the door, and a former champion of this series.
Kubica's in.
Kubica comes in, great shot there of Kubica down low. The championship leader from Poland, one of the most experienced teams from the Basque country. Epsilon Euskadi team. Been learning a lot about them this weekend. They really are unbelievably professional. And their factory looks like a Formula One factory, and of course, it's a technical centre as well. And they've got master's degrees. Engineers down there learning their trade and helping Robert Kubica try and take another victory. So then, Power yet to take his pit stop.
I think he could be coming in quite soon because I can see the inboard getting ready to be put on the pit board. So
his team are standing by.
Yeah, so I think he's
Colin Fleming is yet to come in as well. And behind him, Adrian Valles in 4th position. Vivish of Belgium 5th. Fukuda yet to stop, but of course is under investigation as we speak. He's currently 6th, but that will change.
Yeah, Power's in now.
In comes the leader then, Will Power of Australia. Wants to turn some of his good qualifying all season into a decent result, and he's got the best opportunity possible now. In he comes to the pits then, right underneath our commentary position. The Carlin team going through their paces. They practice this on a Saturday afternoon. All part, of course, of learning what Formula One will be like. And there's very few other formula that do the pit stops like this, and this is great experience for these young drivers to learn their well. to learn their way. Willpower trying to go. Must feel agonisingly slow.
Yeah, definitely. They are limited. You just want to get off that.
Well, the order at the moment is Power, Fleming, Valles. Well, Power is not leading, but Fleming is effectively leading this race. This man here. And Fleming has yet to pit. Valles is third. Vavish at the moment, that's the highest we've seen him. Colin Fleming will be rather surprised to be leading a race for the first time this season. Not been an easy year for the American, but he's a lovely guy. He's very laid back, as you expect.
It looks like Power's got out in the lead, really, of relative.
Effectively, yeah.
People have pitted. So,
and Salignon looks to have lost a place to Kubica.
Yeah. Just,
so when it all reshuffles, it'll be Power, Kubica, Salignon, Winkelhock probably.
Yeah, that's what it looks like at the moment.
So 16 laps to go here at Le Mans. The championship holding up nicely. There's absolutely nothing in it. Kubica's built up a lead overall, but after that, there is just a few points between Baez, Gomondy, Zuber, Toccocello and Winkelhock. Winkelhock has already made his benchmark down by taking victory, his first of the season in the last race. Massive crowd, as you can see here, enjoying the sunshine. This fantastic circuit, the most famous circuit probably anywhere in the world. And these youngsters getting a chance to race it for the first time, many of them. I'm watching Adrian Valles chasing Colin Fleming now. The pair of them, when will they come in? And just a little story about Valles, second in the championship at the moment, the 18-year-old from southern Spain. He's had an ear infection, a rotten ear infection, all weekend long. Didn't take part in the first day's practice, and so was behind straight away, and wasn't feeling 100% by any means, but has battled on. It's got better as the weekend's got on, and I think he's okay now. Certainly by his race pace, it's just showing no problems.
It's not looking too bad at the moment.
No. So another lap completed, and neither of the leaders come in.
I think for Fleming and Valles, they were a little bit down, weren't they, on the grid? So for them, it's ideal at the moment as long as there's no safety car.
Well, that could change things very quickly.
Fleming's still pounding around doing low 25, which is quicker than anybody really at the moment. So he could be definitely sort of eking up the field without people knowing.
There's the gap between Fleming and Valles. Valles is pushing hard at the moment. You can see him right there in the Red Bull man's wings. Right behind him, the pair of them out on track. And it's just the three of them then, Fleming, Valles and Vavish. And one other, Mehdi Banani of Morocco, to pit. But the important one is Colin Fleming at the moment, because he will have a bearing on the overall race. Will Power, we believe, when the rest do pit, will be leading this race, followed by Kubica and Salignon. So Salignon has effectively lost a place.
I think it'll be a good, because Power's only a second in front of Kubica, so Kubica's really, you know, put the accelerator down and caught him up. So he's lapping. Kubica's the only one that can lap in the same bracket as Fleming at the moment. Everybody else has sort of tailed off a little bit.
Fleming just does a 1:24.8, and that's one of the quickest laps we've seen this weekend. Portiero got fastest lap in the last race at 1:24.1, but that was much later in the race. So Fleming is flying at the moment, and he's over almost a second quicker than Adrian Valles, who he's reacted to very well there. Valles was catching, but now he's put the hammer down and really improved his time. Vavish now comes in. There is the fastest lap.
Yeah, no, I think Fleming could be the shock of this one. I don't think he's going to overtake Will or Kubica, but I think he could
get on the podium. Yeah,
he might get on the podium because Salignon's dropped off a little bit. You know, he was 7 tenths. He gained 7 tenths on Salignon that lap. So You know, I think we'll just have to wait and see.
Well, he was the fastest man of the collective test they had, so I don't think it's a surprise to him that he's fast out there. He enjoys this circuit. He just had a rotten start to his weekend. It started when it was raining in the first qualifying session, and within 2 or 3 laps he'd spun off and was in a point in the gravel where he just couldn't move. And the marshals decided to drag his car right through the gravel and effectively out of the qualifying session. It was red flagged. He did get a chance to restart, and he doesn't come in this lap and comes across the line again. But he didn't have time to get a decent lap in, and therefore had to start at the back of race 1. Had similar problems in race 2, or in qualifying 2. So the pair of them come across the line, a 25.3 from Fleming. Valles does a 25.2, so Valles responded nicely. And it really is 2 prodigies of 2 countries. The Red Bull scheme in America, led by Danny Sullivan, to look for the next Formula 1 driver. And Colin Fleming was part of that. And Adrian Valles, whose father runs a kart circuit in Spain, another prodigy, another Alonso in the making. And of course, driving for the great Cito Pons, who's had a few moments around this Bugatti circuit himself. Power still in 3rd. He does a 25.5 last time out, so the pace is similar. And in comes Mehdi Benani. So, just 2 remaining cars to pick. Well, certainly Colin Fleming's getting some TV time, if nothing else, out of this one.
Yeah, definitely. You know, in our testing, the Red Bull seem to do more laps than anybody.
So there you can see, and the little spanner there indicates who has pitted and who hasn't, but you don't need to know that now because there's only 2 who haven't. One of them is this man, and he's not going to pit this time either. Across the line he comes, so too Valles.
He needs to pit now. He's gone off the pace. He's now did a 25.7, so he's lost. His tyres are starting to obviously get a little bit worn, and you know, he could do with coming in the pits. He's losing time now.
And he's also getting into traffic. He's got Mehdi Benani in front of him, the young Moroccan. Very inexperienced, raced in Asia, did Mehdi. And a lot of interest in Morocco. He's actually sponsored. Ooh, somebody's going off there. That's Will Power going past somebody there, trying to make up some ground.
That's Portiero and Zuba.
Zuba. Zuba in the wars again with Portiero. Okay.
Seems to be absolutely in a racing Carlin. They're doing it in the front and at the back and in the middle.
Andreas Zuba. He's a character, all right. He's had some ups and downs this year, that's for sure. Here comes Fleming. Now starting to pick off those back markers, but he's got himself in trouble behind Bellarosa. And that's not going to help him at all, because he's just losing time now to Power and Kubica. You can't see it on the track, but he is doing it because every time he gets stuck behind somebody, he loses valuable seconds that he's gained by those quick laps he put in the previous few. He's got to pit now. Here he does. He comes into the pits. Colin Fleming then. Genta Motorsport have got to do their job well here. We'll keep a lookout for Will Power, who was 23 seconds adrift of Fleming at this point as he comes in. 26 seconds, in fact. So it's got to be 7 seconds max and out. This is Valles, the only other driver. He's quick. Pons Racing doing a very good job, but they should. Looking for Will Power, who comes across the line now to take the lead. Both Fleming and Valles are out, but they're not going to be in the top 5 at the moment.
No, I think...
out comes Fleming, just ahead of Salignon, does he? We'll soon find out.
He's behind Kubica.
He's behind Kubica, so he's got ahead of Salignon.
Yes.
Yes, he has. Colin Fleming has done a good job to stay ahead of Winkelhock and
I think he could be on for a podium here, I think.
Good job done by the American then. Finally, the Americans have something to smile about. And remember, it's a long time since we've had an American in Formula 1. This race settling down nicely. Wesley Barber is off to go and race again. Good luck, my man. Away he goes to race in the 2-litre series, and he's hoping next year to be here in the 3.5 World Series by Renault. As we take a look at Celso Miguez of Spain and Robert Kubica, the championship leader. Now the race settling down to its proper perspective as Fleming did a great job, really. He made up a lot of ground. He started to lose ground when he got behind the back markers, but he's gained enough where he's managed to get ahead of Eric Salignon. Now, this isn't a scheduled pit stop by the looks of things. No, it's not. And that's a real shame for Jaap van Lagen, who, if you're wondering what's happened to Jaap, well, he didn't qualify well at all. They completely changed the setup for the car. He wasn't getting the speed in the last sector and didn't qualify well. Was disqualified, of course, from race 1, so it's just been a rotten weekend, and his championship has pretty much eroded away any hope of getting up there. He was 15th in the championship with just 13 points, and he's not going to score any from race 2. So disappointment after starting the championship on such a high. Jaap van Lagen will probably have to wait now. Having said that, it's early days, and there's still plenty more racing, and Jaap is very fast indeed. And he's certainly going to be a contender for race wins as the season continues. So Will Power then leads Robert Kubica by half a second. Fleming is third, Salignon fourth, Winkelhock fifth. Montanari sixth at the moment, and Adrian Valles in seventh. Good job done by Valles, who wasn't expecting much out of this weekend. He just wanted a couple of points, and at the moment he's got those. He's ahead of Andreas Zuber. Portiero is behind him. And sure enough, Ryo Fukuda of Japan has been given a drive-through penalty for that incident earlier on in the race. So the season that hasn't been particularly good for the man that started his career across the way at La Filière in Formula Campus, learning his trade. He's not been plied too well this weekend, and Fukuda will lose any hope of scoring any points this afternoon. Fleming, though, has the best opportunity of the season so far. He was involved in the problems at Monaco, where he was under suspension. In fact, he still is under suspension for the incident which involved a marshal and a yellow flag situation. And ever since then, the race officials have been very hot on making sure that the flags are adhered to. We've already had Jaap van Lagen and Karun Chandok thrown out of this weekend's racing, and Chandok will miss the next 2 races as well. Power, Kubica, Fleming at the moment. Salignon still 2 seconds behind Fleming. Winkelhock right behind him. Montanari and Valles the top 7. Salignon, number 21. Just wants a podium out of this weekend if he can get one. He's now probably praying that either Fleming or somebody has a problem. Looks like Jaap van Lagen might go back out again on track. And he may hope there's a safety car before the end of the race. Will Power, though, has extended his lead. A 25.2 last time out, 4/10 quicker than Kubica, and has increased his lead. You can see the gap now between the two of them. So Will Power undetermined.
Prenez de meilleures photos avec votre mobile. Nouveau K750i avec autofocus de Sony Ericsson.
Notre temps de vol sera de 3 secondes.
Avec Club Internet, entrez dans un monde où tout va plus vite. Au débit jusqu'à 20 mégas, 9,90 € par mois pendant 3 mois. Appelez Club Internet au 3204. Un rasoir jetable révolutionnaire Sensor 3 de Gillette. C'est notre meilleur rasoir jetable. 3 lames sur ressort qui s'adaptent parfaitement au contour de votre visage. Et découvrez le nouveau Sensor 3 muni d'une plaquette lubrifiante enrichie à la vitamine E.
Tuesday night on Motors, and at 8 o'clock we start with NASCAR Busch highlights from round 19 at the Chicagoland Speedway. At 10 o'clock, It's highlights from round 2 of the Le Mans Endurance Series at Monza, and at midnight, highlights from the big one, the Le Mans 24-hour race.
Your Wednesday evening lineup on Motors TV. At 9 p.m., we kick things off with a tribute to Ferrari, the 40th anniversary of the GTO. At 10 p.m., autograph. This time we go to Zagato. And at 11 p.m., we head to Castle Combe, round 6 of the very competitive British Formula 3 Championship.
Taking a look again at Salignon. As I say, Power determined to get something out of this weekend. Kubica, though, hovering. But Kubica's a smart guy. Kubica knows that he's got the championship lead and he shouldn't be worried about Power at the moment. And he's already got a third from race 1. He'll push as hard as he can, but if he can't get past Power, he'll leave it and take second because he knows that championship-wise, that's the smartest move. Having said that, tell that to a racing driver when he's in the middle of a race. They don't necessarily always have that much sense. They want to win at all costs and get there. It's all about the glory in motor racing. And what a venue, what a place to do it, and what a crowd to do it in front of. The famous Bugatti circuit here at Le Mans, a beautiful sunny Sunday afternoon. The prize of getting into possibly Formula 1 and be noticed. And Kubica, without doubt, has come to this championship to show the world that Poland can produce just as good a racing driver as anybody else. As Passini, the man from Nice in France. There's a little hairy there. Under the famous Dunlop Bridge, which is used in the 24-hour race of Le Mans. And from there, they head off left and into the distance down the Monzan Straight, whereas here we're on the 4.4-kilometer circuit. And Power and Kubica. It's been a long time since an Australian has done well here. I suppose the likes of Jack Brabham and his sons, David, of course, have raced here at Le Mans. But this is Will Power's first chance. Having done the British Championship with Carlin Motorsport, he's now here with them. And of course, Carlin with Thiago Monteiro, who currently drives for the Jordan F1 team. Runner-up in the championship here. It just shows what this championship can provide, as Narain Karthikeyan and Monteiro currently at the British Grand Prix and in Formula 1, which is where all these young drivers want to be. 22 laps gone, 5 remaining. Power, Kubica, Fleming. Absolutely nothing between them, just 3 seconds. Fleming still has a chance to catch Kubica, and you can guarantee he'll be on it. Power using the curbs, trying to keep it steady. He's pushing hard too. He just did a 25.2, but he's 0.4 quicker. And really, the only race that I can see is between Kubica and Fleming for second place. The gap, as you can see, quite significant at the moment. 2 seconds, but they're on the same sort of pace. Salignon settling at the moment for 4th. Winkelhock will take 5th, and that'll do his championship no harm. Another good result there. Disappointment for Zuber in 8th position. Likewise, Felix Portiero. Portiero started on the 2nd row, remember he's 9th currently. And what of Enrico Toccacello, the runner-up in the Formula 3000 Championship last year and winner in the first race of the season at Zolder, down in 10th position, and his championship hopes slipping down. He started the weekend in 6th position with 23 points. And he really hasn't improved much from there. He'll get a point for 10th place, but that's all he'll get. And Tristan Gomondy, what if? He was in a front row start, blew the start, jumped the start, was penalised for doing so. And the man who was 3rd in the championship will be slipping down after this race as well. Power comes across the line, slowing slightly, the gap 1.4 between Power and Kubica. Fleming holding station, he's not making ground, he was just a tenth of a second quicker than Kubica last time out. 125.6 from him, and Salignon behind him is on the same sort of pace. spent a lot of time with Will Power this weekend. He's quite a shy young man. I won't say too much. He's got that look in his eye, though, that says he wants to win. And he was determined to make sure he got in and out before any safety cars possibly hindered his progress this afternoon. And he's been kicking himself all season. And what's annoyed him more than anything else is that he knows that he's got the pace and the ability to beat any of the guys out there, and he hasn't had any of the glory yet. And this is his best opportunity to go for it. He's just had mechanical problems. He got taken out of the last race. Well, in a decent position, to be fair. Across the line comes Fleming. He does a 1:25.5, just 2/10 quicker, but Power's up the pace again. A 1:25.2 from him. And Salignon starting to catch Fleming, but I don't think he's going to have time to do it in the 3 laps remaining. Portiero still out of the top 10. Pile jumps to 10th, and Toccacello goes up to 9th. He's still 3 seconds behind Zuber, though. And Adrian Valles is 1 second behind Montanari, and this will be a big scalp for Adrian Valles if he can catch Montanari. Second in the championship, remember, and trying to hold on to it. And with Tristan Gomondy not doing anything, and Zuber not doing a great deal, the real opportunity for Valles to hold on to that second place in the championship. There's the gap in the last few laps. 1:25.2 to 1:25.7. So Kubica not making any inroads on Power, who is powering on now. He was half a second quicker than Kubica last time out. So we're starting to see the true Aussie and what kind of pace he can produce. And there's a lot going on in motorsport, as I said, in Australia. Christian Jones, the son of Alan Jones, coming through. Ryan Briscoe also doing very well indeed. Mark Webber, of course, doing his bit. And Will Power here in the World Series by Renault with 2 laps to go, doing his bit every bit as well as anybody else. He's starting to make a name for himself. Had some good outings in Formula 3 in Britain, but this is a real chance to shine in the sunshine of France. Colin Fleming, likewise, had a rotten start to his year, but now is starting to show the kind of pace that he's capable of. Scott Speed seemingly stealing all the limelight. Wasn't even mentioned in a recent Autosport who's the next American in Formula 1. And I'm sure that riled him. Certainly enough to get him right up there this afternoon and into a podium position. Worst time for a driver this now, with just less than a lap. There's traffic in front and behind, and you just want to make sure that the car comes home. Powell will be just biding his moment, biding his time, making sure he doesn't push too hard, but also doesn't slow down too much. He's only got a 2-second cushion, remember. And there's traffic out there. Power comes across the line then for the last lap. Kubica is 2.2 seconds behind him, and Fleming has a secure 3rd place. Traffic in front of Power, and he's got to tiptoe his way through. And Pile will score points. So too Toccacello, Zuber and Valles. Good job done by Adrian Valles, who wasn't exactly 100% for this race by any means. And now this is where Power's got to be careful. He knows that the men in front of him are slower, but have they seen him? Have the officials waved the blue flag at them? Oh, he's not going to be enjoying this at all, and it's slowing him right down. He goes up the inside because he knows that Kubica's only a couple of seconds behind, and this is a great opportunity for Robert Kubica, the championship leader, but I don't think he'll want to get involved in this. Power then jinks to the outside. Now on the straight, goes past. Power, Kubica, Fleming. That's the top 3. Last couple of corners then. The Aussie goes as wide as he possibly can there. Last corner then, where there's a will, there's a way, and here comes Power to power his way home. The Aussie takes victory, his first of the season. 7 different winners from 7 races. What a championship. And now Power joins the fight. Winkelhock did it in race 1, and now Will Power of Carlin Motorsport joins his chance to take a ticket and join the party of the championship chase here in the World Series by Renault. Salignon does come over the line in 4th, behind Fleming. Kubica takes 2nd place and will increase his lead in the championship overall. Winkelhock takes 5th, and that's a good weekend, a 1st and a 5th for the German. Montanari takes 6th, finally getting some points. Having won in Monaco, he hasn't done much since. Adrian Valles, who was 2nd at the start of this race in the championship, finished 7th and will pick up valuable points ahead of Zuber in 8th. Who will be disappointed with that weekend, to be fair. Tococello 9th, likewise, he'll be disappointed too. And Pile finishes the points. He is 10th overall. So, a good safe race. Not quite the drama of the first one. The pit stops proving crucial, certainly to Colin Fleming. Kubica did exactly what he needed to do. Held station, good clean race. Disappointment for Portiero, who finished 11th at the end, having started from the 2nd row. It's not been a good weekend for the young Spaniard, but it's been a brilliant one for Will Power. And you get the feeling with Will that if he gets one victory, he could get many, many more. Certainly got the ability and a huge team behind him. I'm sure Trevor Carlin will be the first on the phone to see how he's got on. But the team have worked hard all over the weekend to prepare the cars for both drivers. He's already halfway out the cockpit before he's got there. Will Power then taking victory. Robert Kubica 2nd, Colin Fleming 3rd, Eric Salignon 4th, Marcus Winkelhock taking 5th position. Christian Montanari of San Marino 6th, Adrian Valles 7th, Andreas Zuber, another Carlin man 8th, Enrico Tococello 9th, Felix Portiero, there you see him in 11th place. Likewise, Celso Miguez of Spain for Pons Racing. So there's 2 Spanish teams disappointed to be out of the points there. Gomondi will be wondering what he has to do. It's been a rotten weekend in the end. Brilliant qualifying, rotten races. And Will Power's girlfriend, who also does his press releases, right there to get the first line off him. I'll be interested to see what he has to say. I said to him, how did you sleep last night? He said, like a baby. He said, I didn't sleep at all after before qualifying, but last night I slept great. So it was a good omen for him. Kubica now leads the championship with 66 points. Valles still 2nd with 44. Gomondi still 3rd, but only by a point now. Will Power right behind him. Zuber's still 33 points. So there's absolutely nothing between the top 6. Definitely Kubica's got the lead now and can hold on to that and can almost cruise, but I'm sure he won't. Especially with the street race coming up in less than 7 days. And Jaap van Lagen, well, what did the Dutchman have to do? 14 points he's come away with. Fukuda's season getting worse. And a few others yet to score. But it's hotting up nicely for the championship chase, and you cannot count out any of the top 10 at the moment. Great championship. The first year, remember, of the World Series by Renault, and the first year of this concept, where it's a full Renault weekend, and it really is, as we see Epsilon Euskadi still leading from Carlin Motorsport now, who've jumped ahead of Draco Multi Racing. So a real battle going on there. KTR have lost a little bit of ground. You can imagine that they'll be up there. And the mighty Pons with only 44 points. And Dams, the mighty Dams as well, with just 3 points. Not an easy season for them at all. So Kubica, it just seems to be almost automatic for the Polish driver. And there you see a delighted Will Power. He'll be calling home pretty soon, I can assure you. Colin Fleming just as delighted. The American up on the podium for the first time. Probably can't believe his luck, especially having had the weekend start with him in the gravel and not even qualifying or not even getting a decent lap in. He was some 10 seconds off the pace. But he's come good at the end, and that's what racing's all about, is to do it at the right time. Qualifying is one thing, you've got to do it in the race. And there you see the delight from Colin Fleming. Red Bull rookie has done his job well. He, of course, trying to follow in the footsteps of Coulthard and Christian Klein into Formula One. Now Red Bull have their own team. And Kubica doing the same thing. Epsilon Euskadi might have a Formula One team one day. We've certainly got the expertise. But Kubica chose to come to this series. He's a street race expert as well, but so too I would have thought would be Will Power. Kubica's second at Macau, remember. But today will be remembered for the two new men who jumped into the championship chase, Will Power of Australia and Markus Winkelhock of Germany. The other two drivers join him. So an American, an Australian, and a Polish driver on the podium. And in a moment we'll hear from the top three, starting with Colin Fleming, but that'll be after the champagne. You know what? I've got a feeling that Will just might be chatting to the press this afternoon for a few hours. Fleming's never short of a word. The Kubica's fairly friendly too. So celebrations for the top three. Championship heading to Bilbao next, of course, and that's a street race. No one's raced there, so it's going to be the perfect opportunity, a real level playing field. So let's go down to our reporter for the top three interviews.
It's been really bad. We've had a lot of bad luck, but to tell you the truth, this makes it all worth it. The team did an awesome job. It's the second pit stop of my life, and both times in the motorsport.
Awesome job.
The car was great. Yeah, like I said, we might have won if it wasn't for Belarus, the lap car, but you know, this is a great story.
Yeah, well, in the start I was doing a big mistake. I started much more speed to my start. Then I was third, we won the one position in the pit stop. Then I had a big problem with the stomach. Since this morning I have took some medicine, but it doesn't work really. So I concentrate to finish second, which is really good for our championship. And that's all. Pozdrawiam wszystkich kibiców Polski.
Thank you, Robert. Will, first victory for you today. You really deserve it. You did a really good job.
Yeah.
Increasing the gap lap after lap and finally the victory.
Yes, last. It's been 3 years since I've won a race. I've been over here for 3 years, so it's really good. And I want more of it.
Thank you, Will. Thank you.
So then the views of the top three here at Le Mans in France. An absolutely scorching, sweltering day here. And the 85,000 fans that have come and flocked here to the venue, so famous for motor racing. And France, synonymous, of course, with motorsport. They had literally invented the sport. The first ever motor race was held here in France, and it continues in 2005, some 105 years later. But today, it was an Australian and a German who took the laurels in deserved fashion. Cracking racing here. Join us in a week's time from Spain in Bilbao. My thanks to Wesley Barber. I'm Jonathan Green. Until then, from all of us here, bye-bye for now. Robert Kubica, though, definitely leads the championship by a long way. All he has to do now is keep it steady, which he did today. Picked up 2 strong results and continues to power forward in this championship. Could he be the first champion of the World Series by Renault? Well, it was certainly looking that way after Valencia, and he's done nothing this weekend to change that. But the others, like Will Power, done a very good job of starting to narrow the gap. Markus Winkelhock likewise in race 1. So we have one of the most open championships in the debut season of the World Series by Renault. The crowds are getting bigger and the racing's getting better. We'll see you next time.